So what happens when two third-generation Arizona women authors who are passionate about their state start talking about experiences, insights, and memories of different places? They don't stop talking. They write a book, and then they start a podcast. Welcome to Celebrating Arizona with Julie Morrison and Lisa Schnebly Heidinger. Grab your favorite drink and settle in. We're celebrating Arizona, going everywhere from A to Z. And we're off.
Celebrating Arizona again?
Yes, let's do. Welcome.
Absolutely. And you, and you, and you, and you, and everybody else. That was an old Steve Martin thing. I want to thank every one of you for coming to the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Some arena. But anyway, but yeah, thank you without each being individually named.
Yes.
And you have a storm, huh? Potentially.
I have a storm maybe coming through.
Good.
Yeah, we'll see. So there may be some unplanned sound effects, or it may get missed. We'll see. But it's always fun. You know, I think if you're raised in Arizona, a storm that brings rain is always something exciting.
Absolutely. The sound of thunder is always sweet.
I think so. Yeah.
There's no chance you have a storm story, do you?
I don't have a storm story, but I have a place that I wouldn't want to be if it were storming.
Okay.
Because
We'll take that.
because it is, rather high in the sky, so to speak. I am taking us to Lockett Meadow today.
Oh.
Yes, which is north of Flagstaff on kind of the back side of the San Francisco Peaks. So you head out Flagstaff to the north on 89, and then you turn toward the mountain when you get to Forest Road 552, or you would if it weren't this summer when the road is closed. But if you...
Is that a fire decision, or do you know?
The road is under repair, says the website.
Oh, okay.
And it says you can hike up if you want to, but be advised that it's 2.8 miles one way from the parking area at the bottom to Lockett Meadow. And I don't know if that means from the parking area at the bottom to the parking area for Lockett Meadow, because it seems like it would then be more mileage beyond that. But when I visited, I didn't measure, so I don't know. But that is, you're at elevation anyway, and then you drive up, and then you hike up. So this is maybe no place I would want to be in a storm, but to feel as though nature has built a cathedral.
Oh.
Walk the trail in the autumn, and the switchbacks up and up and up toward the canopy of colored light created by the aspen. And it feels like a pilgrimage. It is amazing. And I timed my visit badly, so I wasn't able to reach the actual meadow. But because the light was starting to fade and I needed to get back down the mountain.
Sure.
But I've been thinking about cathedrals and other places of faith because I've kind of been taking a spiritual inventory. And Lockett Meadow was the way to Lockett Meadow, that hillside in the aspen, the switchbacks up the trail, just felt like one of the most inspiring sacred spaces ever.
And how impressive that you didn't even have to get there for it to register as one of the most sacred places. I mean, usually going to it doesn't make you go, ooh, but in this case it does.
Yeah. So I couldn't even tell you about the meadow. I couldn't tell you about the there part of the getting there. I can tell you about the getting.
Yeah. Well, it's the journey, not the destination.
Well,
in this case.
And that's actually very characteristic. I don't know that there's anything more sacred than a journey. Yeah, very characteristic of me to, find that and feel like, okay, got it. Even if I didn't get there.
Isn't faith always a journey?
Always.
So
yeah,
there's no there.
Yeah, and sort of unending, because I think you get, I think you go through sort of a set of questions or circumstances and get to kind of a resting place, and then something else happens which throws you off, and it's a new set of questions and circumstances that don't seem to fit the last understanding. And so here we go again, in and out of the labyrinth, so to speak.
And I guess part of me thinks if we're lucky, because for faith to be stagnant would almost render it not worth having.
Oh, that's interesting. What was The Alchemist? That is the story of the boy who has to go and find his treasure in order to marry, the young woman. And this is a beloved story, and it had a 20th anniversary printing. And what you're saying is that it's not the finding the treasure, it's not as though you're done once you've found a treasure. Exactly. Chances are you're going to be sent out on another quest, and that's kind of the point.
Yeah. If James Bond said, "There now,"
yeah,
be out of books.
That's enough villains. We got enough villains.
Solve that.
Oh, that wouldn't. I don't know. That wouldn't be a bad thing.
Well, in that case, yes, that was a pretty weak. Yeah. James Bond and faith. I wouldn't try to write that one. But yeah, maybe. Point being, once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, right. But in a faith story, it never is. And I think that this is also a place where no matter what kind of faith you have and where you are on the journey, it is a place where you're going to be inspired to sort of keep going.
Nice.
Yeah. I have the memory of going from steep to steeper to steep again. I don't know that any part of it was actually flat.
Jeez.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe that is also characteristic of a faith journey. I think you kind of know you're on one when things are a struggle.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Mom used to love to quote, I doubt you would have ever seen a little half-hour sitcom, The Doris Day Show. And Doris Day says to some young woman toward the end of the show, well, in life, some things make us happy and others make us grow.
Nice.
And I was probably 9, and I thought, really? You can't grow happy? But probably most of the time it's one or the other, huh?
Yeah, I have an auntie who asks, can't we all just learn through joy? And that's a beautiful prayer. Yes, that's a great ask. Let's keep asking for that.
That's a good idea. Well, and certainly joy brings a lot of other wonders.
Yes.
It gives us respite and rest and energy and hope but maybe,
all these things.
All
Yeah.
those things. Exactly.
Yeah. So this is a place that you can enjoy, whether, I think it's your first time or your 15th or your first time to Arizona, or whether you've been a lifelong resident. It's just that, I think it's just that spectacular. And I think part of it is the effect of the color change, the aspens, because that's not something that you see in a lot of Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You see it in riparian areas, you see it at higher elevations, but much of Arizona, where many Arizonans live, do not have those things.
Which is why we make those pilgrimages.
Yeah. And so, you can kind of measure your year by, are the cactus blooming or not? And, that's kind of the cycle for a lot of people. But the effect of the aspens gives such a sense of occasion and place and season, and
they're kind of heraldic.
Yeah, maybe so. A place apart, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And worth going to, therefore.
Yes.
Well, good. Well,
so hopefully they fix the road so that we can all drive up instead of have an even longer hike.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sort of going the anti-heraldic lovely season place, but not yet. Let's break.
Okay. Well, yes. Let's take a break before we go there.
Very good.
Okay.
I've been a lot of places in Arizona, and we'll see some new ones this year. We are the podcast partner of AC 250, So as the nation turns 250, we will be sharing some of the highlights with you. One is the AZ-250 passport. I want to suggest you go somewhere you've always meant to go and somewhere you've never thought about going. It's fun to try something unexpected. Search AZ-250 passport. It's that easy.
Okay, so you promised us to, you said you would take us to a place that was not sacred and bucolic and
kind of the anti-Lockett Meadow in almost
yeah.
every respect. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And I don't know why this occurred to me as I should tell that story. And you may remember some of it, and I apologize if you do. But something made me think about the drug tunnel trip in May 1990. And I thought, it was sort of interesting. I didn't find out for many years after that I actually walked through El Chapo's drug tunnel.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
The time we did it, we didn't know it was El Chapo's. That came out during his trial, which was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And when they said, oh yeah, it had a hydraulic lift and this billiard table would rise up and that's how you got in, I thought, oh my gosh, now I know where we were.
Wow.
I had been in Phoenix. The talent coach would come through every so often, like a circuit rider. And I never did great with her. I just wasn't her favorite person, but I happened to be here. And so I called in early morning, as I always do. And John Roller on the desk said, well, you're the first one to call, so you get to go to Douglas. I said, okay. And God, I can't even think of who the photog was right now. But suffice to say, I went to Douglas, and so did a lot of other reporters, because they had found a drug tunnel. So it's a DEA operation. I think the guy's name was McDermott. That somehow sticks in my head. And so we were all gathered in Douglas, and then we got to see the Douglas side of it, which was not the pool table side of it, I don't think.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And we did our interviews, and the people with us, the officials were excited, and it made them a little more poetic than usual. They were saying things like Cocaine Alley, and it's like something out of a James Bond movie. Once in a while, when the story was riveting enough, you'd hear a line out of an interview, even before good evening, we're Cameron and Heidi, and this is the news. And I think in that case, they lifted who I believe was McDermott, saying it's like something out of a James Bond movie, and then went into this story. And then after the 5, for the 10, the reporters, I remember just agitating like, kids on a field trip. Can we go? Can we go? Can we go? Can we go? And finally, maybe at 7 or sometime, I think it was dark. This would have been May, well, dark-ish. And they said, okay, we're going in. So we all got to go in, and I think down a ladder on our side. And it was a full tunnel. Probably the tallest among us had to stoop, but most of us didn't even. And I remember it smelling like kind of wet cement. But there was power. I mean, there were lights.
Goodness.
There was the whole bit. And then on the other side, the hydraulic where you would go up, and then you could see the pool table. And being accommodating, they moved it up and down a couple times, and we're all being very quiet so that the nat sound, of and pool table and all.
So was the tunnel, how wide was it?
Probably.
Was it pool table width?
Probably 3, I don't know, probably for pool tables. I don't even know how wide they are. I'm going to say 3.5 feet probably wide.
Oh, okay.
And so they had carts that they would bring through with tons of cocaine. So wide enough for a cocaine cart.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm. Well, I'm wondering, in modern James Bond, the latest James Bond movies, I'm sort of, picturing a kind of, a truck going back and forth, or a train system or something.
Yeah, there was no trolley, but cart, I guess.
But cart. Wow.
Yeah. It was cool. And then we got to go outside on the other side. The way it turned on or was activated, there was a spigot outside this house by the rec room. Just looked like a water spigot. And you turn that, and that's how the thing goes. And it was darned impressive.
Wow.
What wasn't pleasant was, and I don't even know who they were, what I feel like were very edgy, nervous, jumpy 14-year-old boys in some kind of military fatigues with some kind of automatic weapon, just everywhere. I don't know if they came with the drug tunnel. I don't know if they came out whenever the DEA came into Mexico. I have no idea who they were, but they were just edgy. And it was very disconcerting because, particularly reporting, but just in life, I feel like in Arizona, I always know a guy. If anything went sideways, I could call somebody. And there, I didn't know a guy. And almost making it worse was the chain link fence and being able to see Tom's truck through said chain link fence.
Oh, my.
And thinking, we're so close to Haven Sanctuary. And what if you saw Tombstone, one side eye and one guy shoots and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
And he's on the other side. I don't know if he could have seen, did I fall? It was just suspenseful. Very, very suspenseful. And
wow.
Boy, was I glad to come back across. Oh my gosh, was I glad to come back across. And yet, like so many other things, I sure wouldn't wanted to miss that. Most of us only do that once, if at all. And it was an interesting thing to have gotten to do.
Although you are also the one who wouldn't want to miss the semi-truck hanging upside down from I-40. So, that there's a difference in tastes. Let's just allow that.
But, in a vacuum, want to go through a drug tunnel, you wouldn't say, well, yeah, sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. But,
You'll probably never need to answer that question.
Yeah, well, here's hoping. That would be okay with me.
It was fascinating. And it was certainly something I'd never thought of or knew existed. Although I think they started building it like 10 years before that, because you're working on both sides and within sight of the border, obviously.
Yeah.
So you probably have to be pretty careful about what people from this side can. And of course, this was before drones. Now maybe they can watch everything everywhere, but not then.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I guess, I would say I'm glad I got to go into El Chapo's drug tunnel. And I'm fine not going back.
Both things can be true. That's all right.
As Tom said one time, driving to Oceanside, and a chair, my little beach chair, slid forward and hit Sedona in the head. And he said, once was more than enough. And we have that on the video, so I remember that. So, the same can be said of El Chapo's drug tunnel.
Yeah.
Once was more than enough.
Okay,
But speaking of that, the mug today is Channel 3, KTVK-TV3.
Nice.
We have a couple of iterations of that kind of mug, but this one was from that era. And so it's nice to see the old big three every so often.
Sure. Yes. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, we will take another break, fill up the mug of your choice, and we'll be back with our question and some reading.
Sounds good. We've been talking about all the ways Visit Flagstaff has come up with celebrating Route 66's 100th birthday next year. And here's another one. There are no fewer than nine national parks and monuments within a stone's throw of Route 66. Of course, Grand Canyon, also Walnut Canyon, one of Julie's favorites, and Wapatki, one of mine, and 6 more. Hint, Petrified Forest? Visit Flagstaff. All right, so question time.
Question time.
Question time. And this one had a specific trigger. I would be interested in knowing if you were going to get some kind of ink on your body, what would warrant that honor?
Oh.
Now you're going to say, I have 6 tattoos I've never told you about?
Yeah, I have none. I've never, I have art that I purchased after the death of beloveds, and jewelry, kind of commemorative jewelry for the same reason. I have kind of an ofrenda up in my house all the time with photos and candles and images and sculptures.
Do those change, or do they?
Mostly it just increases. It
gets as we get older, huh?
I just add more and more things to it. So there's something like a dozen owls.
So that nobody's left
puzzle
ofrenda altar.
Yes, yeah. But specifically sort of 2 but not necessarily a church altar.
No, to commemorate,
Right. So
but to
kind of
commemorate loved
a more
ones.
personal,
Yeah.
a personal, more commemorative space.
Yeah.
That's often affiliated with, All Saints or All Souls Day. Yeah.
Dia
So
de los Muertos.
yes. So I know that my cousin, when her mother died, inked part of a poem that her mother had written onto
That's
her
lovely.
back. Yeah. But I do not love needles. And so
Okay.
I just don't. And if anything, I would probably want it to be a butterfly, and that would be a number of colors. And I don't know if you could do it all in one sitting. And that would mean having to, tranquilize myself some way or another several times. None of this is a good thing.
Okay.
So
But a
I'm just
butterfly
not
is
sure.
sort of what, if there
Probably.
were something.
Yeah, probably. Just because it's a powerful symbol of transformation.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And so, and I think I tend to acquire things sort of for the journey. Yeah. So whether it's the many owls that
I wondered about an owl,
look
but
out
I
for
didn't want to
me.
salt the mine.
Yeah, or I have owls and butterflies everywhere.
Okay.
And the owls are the creature that sees in the dark, right? And that's typically part of the journey. There is going to be the dark time where you could really use somebody that can do that next to you. And then the getting through the journey, that's the butterfly.
Okay.
So, we caterpillar and cocoon and fight like mad to get out of there, and then hopefully fly off to the next one. Yeah.
I like
But so
that.
so those are the two. Yeah, it would be one of those two symbols, but I would be much more likely to acquire a sculpture or a knickknack of some kind rather than get inked. How about you?
The peaks. And
Oh, okay.
nothing else has ever even entered my mind as being potentially worthy.
Oh,
And so,
okay.
yeah, and I just finished round 3. So the first time I got it, it was just the line of the silhouette that a guy copied from a photograph. And it
Okay.
didn't really work very well. So then I got a kind of a little fine art painting with, the silhouette and the trees and blah, blah, blah. And then after Tom got his, it made mine look like a cartoon, and I thought, okay, that's what I want. So yesterday I got it redone. But in terms of numbers of times, I'm sure you could get it in one, because and yeah, it doesn't take as long as you might think. I
Okay.
mean, unless you're thinking about a 2-foot butterfly. But
No.
yeah, I think
No, it
mine's
wouldn't be.
maybe 4 by 4 ish.
Okay.
And lots of color, and yeah, it's intense. I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
But anything worth having is worth going through something for. So probably, if it doesn't sound like it's worth going through, then you're doing the right thing.
Probably
to
not the
get
way
it.
to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And people always say, "Oh, you'll never get just one," but I think, yeah, I will. I have, and I will. Well, 3 times, but it's only the one spot, and so yeah.
Yeah.
Third time's a
Well,
charm.
I know there are people who really enjoy it. It feels like a rite of passage to them. They like having the symbols on their body. Yeah, with them all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing, that there's so many ways to do or not do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But, yeah.
And so you are reading first
Yes,
today,
I am.
correct?
And this is another one of those. I'm reading something real, but it's not actually in a book form. It's still potentially the book. It's the TV memoir.
Oh,
so I went
good.
back and pulled the drug tunnel story, and this is the very end of the drug tunnel story. Because good gracious. So from that, Tom actually held me for a minute when I climbed the silver metal ladder into the satellite truck, which was a breach of professional contact we would not normally make. He didn't unspool a similar set of thoughts to the ones I'd had, but he had been aggressively searched once at the border, and he knew things could get extreme in a heartbeat. With not much extra time, I wrote my piece for the 10, then stood outside, looking where we'd just been, thinking about how differently it could have gone. Realistically, 14-year-old boys probably wouldn't do much shooting with DEA agents there, but are they realistic? Cowboy courage is easy when you're young. Because of the angle in the house and lights we wanted in the background, it was a better shot if I was sitting on one of the milk crates Tom used to store cables and such, although I would be framed tightly enough that there'd be no sign that I wasn't standing. We were at the top of the show. I heard, "Lisa Schnebly is on the border with the story." Instead of saying, "Cameron and Heidi, the construction of the tunnel going into that house you see across the border is highly sophisticated," I said, no words. Deer in headlights had nothing on me. Staring into that bright spotlight on the camera, I was scrabbling for some virgin on barren terrain. Finally, my intro came back, and I delivered it as calmly as possible. After we were clear, I stayed sitting, dejected, a failure, a laughingstock. The understudy gets her day, muffs the line, and the lights on Broadway are never hers. Stupid, stupid, stupid! I could have smacked my forehead bloody, but the damage was done. The next morning, I would retrieve a message on my phone from Bill Moseley, a genial, outgoing, comfortable veteran sports reporter. He said, "I know it felt like forever, but if you go look at the tape, it was less than 4 seconds. That could have been technical difficulties from the border, or you not getting a cue. Don't worry about it. Anyone who hasn't done that hasn't done enough yet. It happens to us all. I will always be grateful."
Oh, yes.
And actually,
That's lovely.
it really was. I got to see him recently. Channel 3 celebrated their 60th birthday, and Moseley was there. And I got to say, "I still remember the message you left." Because he didn't have to do that.
No, that is such a lovely gift.
It really was.
Yes.
Yeah. So shout out to Bill Moseley for taking the time.
Absolutely. Those are gifts unlike any others, and you do remember them forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Those graces.
Yes, those graces. Yes.
So the anti-Lockett Meadow in most ways, but that was a grace.
Okay.
So speaking of, are we going back to
Well,
Lockett or something else?
Yes, so we are going, in a way, my poem is also a bit about grace. So autumn can also be something of a reckoning, a farewell to summer and an acceptance of winter coming, and the necessary work of deciding what's going to be important to get done before the holidays and the end of the year. And we think of farewells and reckonings, these things, as sad, and maybe the decision to leave some hopes for the year aside doesn't feel as good as accomplishing them, but it's also very natural. Summer is the ample season of blooming and abundance, and autumn, we store and we cull and decide what to carry. And in my own history, autumn also tends to be a time when summer romances either change, not for the better, or stop.
Okay.
And so I wrote into both the themes of reckoning and choosing and faring well, which is a kind of grace, what couldn't come with me in this poem. And it's called Faring Well. Some of the best loves don't come to stay, at least not in the shapes where they start. We think or hope they're bound one way, then they corner, tearing off with our heart. It's easy to claim they were never to be, or that we mistook frog for prince. But the point of some loves is to free us from ideas we haven't had since. That romance is dead, or gentleman gone, or happiness comes with a cap. No. Love should convert dream sunsets to dawn and explode past relationship maps. You taught love can be better, not just be best yet. And I learned to want more than I did when we met.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And we have spoken before about, to me, it always ups the game. You always think, okay, at least this or better to open. And now you know,
In a
hey,
relationship,
I can get this, and who knows what else, because I didn't know before this one that this was possible.
That's exactly
So,
it. Relationships are a place, I think, a little bit like Lockett Meadow, where until you stand there and see how it feels to be underneath the aspens, you can't quite imagine it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, until you've had a love that comes with so many more things, good things, you can't quite imagine it.
Yeah.
And then what's interesting is of course, we want more of that, and the love may or may not be built to be able to give more. So, yeah.
I may have quoted you the song, it's called Glitter. Christina Hatton found it for me. And there's a line, and we don't get to choose who we're going to love, who we're going to lose, and what breaks our hearts in two. Mm-hmm. And I think, boy, we sure do not, do we?
Not often.
And maybe that's good. We would never choose it. No, I'll pass.
I think there are people who, for reasons we can all understand, decide, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this again.
Absolutely.
Like people have done it after the death of a pet and they decide no more animals.
True.
I can't do it again. Or after the death of a spouse, or, after a bad breakup, many people will just take some time and decide, I don't have it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you're open to it, then there are going to be surprises. Yes.
Yeah. And there are amazing things out there that until, like you just said, until we're there, we have no idea.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps us getting up in the morning. That and coffee.
And if you don't have the former, you can always have
That's
more coffee.
right.
This is the good
Yes.
news of this podcast today.
There's always coffee.
There is always coffee. Yes. Well, speaking of love's coming to stay, I have a dog who thinks that I need to be staying with her. Yes.
Well,
yes.
good. I've got one too, and podcasts are always better with doggies, as are most things.
And there
she
got a little
is.
shake
Hi,
to
Luna.
say, yeah.
Okay, rap. She's saying
Yes.
rap.
Yeah, that's
rap.
enough. Okay,
Well,
so
rapping
coffee,
we are.
everybody. Yes.
A delight as
thank
always. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, and bye for now.
We'd really like to hear from you about anything this show led you to think about. Write to us at celebratingaz.com. The wizard behind making a conversation into a podcast is Tom Heidinger. The music comes from Daniel Blatney, and I'm Dana Cooper.